Shalom, brothers and sisters. So today's video, it's so challenging. It's a bit confusing. It's about this man who claims that he's a Native American, phenotypically is black, which leaves question because it makes us think that in some way there's an African connection with him because phenotypically is an African. He is black. Sorry, say. Not all blacks are African. Maybe sometimes some people say like that. So maybe it's true. So the problem with this is that I know we might have different opinions about this because we know that in a way every black is related to African, is from the African descent. So this guy also continues by explaining that this family owned slave, from one of the royal families that owned slaves in that place at that time. So what do you think, guys? What do you think? But first, let's watch the video, right? I think it will help you watch the video.
What culture do you consider yourself a part of?
I am Cherokee Native American, born here in Virginia. I have no African heritage whatsoever and no African relatives. I am all Cherokee Indian.
How come?
You probably are too.
Well, why do you say that?
Because the Indian is black, actually. It's the same people that Columbus met when he got off the boat. We are not African. This is Richmond, Virginia, where the first 20 slaves landed. There's no record of any other slaves landing here. Those 20 Africans that landed here were on a boat that was hijacked by Portuguese. The real black slaves here were Portuguese. Most of the slaves in this country were actually white, not black. My people owned slaves. We weren't slave owners. 96% of the southern slaves were owned by the 5 tribes of the Lakota. I am Cherokee, the largest of the 5 tribes.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
10-4, you have a good one.
So welcome back, guys. You've watched the video, so tell me what you think in the comment section, just even before I haven't done any commentary about it. So guys, first of all, I'm confused. As an African who I've just stayed in his whole life in Kenya for 23 years old, but I don't know. There is a lot of complexity with things to do with genealogy and finding tracing one's true origin, because these things sometimes are optional. People make them look like they're optional. One can just wake up in the morning and say, I'm white, I'm Caucasian, I'm white. Yeah, they goes and believe that that's it. You can't take this away from this kind of people because that's what they believe and that's their belief, man. So I did my research and tried to find out the reason as to why might make this person right. So this guy might be right due to the following reasons. One is tribal enrollment. So I'll read it from my research that I did, as you can see. So Native American tribes, including the Cherokee Nation, have their own enrollment and membership criteria. It means that the tribe has accepted him and can be done after involving genealogy research. So maybe this person did their DNA test and it's true they found that they are related with some percentage as a Native American. So maybe he might be 96%, the way he described himself, a Native American, because he believed that he is not Africans, because according to the facts that he laid down, and maybe he went ahead and did his DNA and find out that he's 96% Native American. So maybe he's also accepted by, the nation who recognize themselves with this culture. So that can make him or her a Native American. I don't know, guys. Tell me what you think in the comment section. This, as I said, this topic is so complex, and yeah, people can argue differently depending on what they believe. So the second thing is ancestry and identity. It is possible for someone to have both African and Native American ancestry and choose to identify more strongly with one aspect of their own heritage. these decisions are always personal. As I've said, yeah, I can just wake up in the morning and say that, I'm Caucasian. And that's my belief. Nobody can take it away from me. But in the essence, is that it's always good to be true. Let's don't lie to each other. I believe that the guy, in a way, has a descent of African. We can all see is phenotypically African. You understand? Foundationally, it might be American, which is also true, but he has some African descent. So maybe he just decided to identify himself as a native African, because these things are choices and these things are personal. One wakes up in the morning and they feel like, I want to be this, and yeah, that's it. So to be, if these things are personal and cultural, and one wants to identify themselves as a given group, well, he has it. At the end of the day, he lives his life, but let not be ignorant about such kind of aspects, because I believe they form part of who we are. And I don't know why people fear identifying themselves as black, because also we having arguments on social media, some African Americans doesn't want to be called African Americans. They want to be called Black Americans, or the FBS, the foundationally black Americans. So it's still an issue of discussion, because some of people don't want to identify themselves as African Americans. Of course, you all know that they have the African descent, and it's true, nobody forces you to be African. So if you decide to be Black American fully, if you decide to be FBAs, it's still fine. It's still fine. Nobody can take that away from you. What I'm doing, I'm just laying facts for this person. And maybe it might have affected different people outside there. And maybe you're watching this and it also affects you. Let me see what you think in the comment section. Share with people your experience. Share with people your stand. People need to see your belief. Maybe I might not know. Maybe I might not be right. So if you share with me, I might understand you as a person. So feel free to share. Also, I'll explain a phenomena. It's called passing. This is a situation where one fails to identify themselves as black just because of the atrocities that the blacks went through, the slavery and the hardships. So they feel like the black race is an inferior race because of the things that they were did to them historically. So they might identify themselves to boast their ego, maybe, so that they might not be looked down outside there. For example, this person said that we own the slaves. You see, this is a proud person. This is a proud guy. And he also tells the interviewer that, you might also be a Native American. So I believe that the person has a black descent, the interviewer also, depending on what he told the guy. So this is a problem, because people fail to see the achievement that Africans, or the people with African descent, the African Americans, I'll say this confidently, African Americans did to Europe. Also, even before the civilization came in place, we still have kingdoms like Songhai, Mali, the African emperors. These people were so very rich in mathematics, and also, some people also argue that the first sociologists, the first philosophers, the first philologists were from the African descent. The true knowledge came from the African descent. A lot of achievements from music, from dance, culture, the trends. It's always been from the black community. I fail to see why people don't want to recognize themselves as from the African descent, even without seeing the accomplishments that the black community has done to the world. Man, to the world. So this passing, this phenomenon is a problem. It's really a problem also to the modern society people, because such things of systemic racism. So if you feel like you identify yourself as a given group, people will look down upon you, or you lose certain opportunities. Some factors might to boost their egos, you understand? And who is to blame? Who is to blame about this? Is it the family? Is it the person? Is it the media? Is it the history? Or is it the person himself who don't want to identify himself as his true culture? In our homeland, in Swahili, Kenya, we say, mwachamila ni mtumwa. A person who betrays his tribe is a slave. That's what the saying means. Mwachamila ni mtumwa. So, some people, I'm sorry to say this, are still slaves because they don't want to, they don't want to recognize themselves as Africans. There's this story that one of my fans told me in the comment section. During slave trade, the Africans who called themselves with African names were being castrated. They were forced to use the European names, Miles, such kind of names. But they never wanted people to use their African names. So I think that's modern slavery to some people who don't want to recognize themselves as Africans because they're repeating what the colonizers were doing, what the oppressors were using. They're still, they were still using that system. So this is just a great topic that we all need to handle it with concern, including me, the person talking in front of you. We need to handle it with concern, both of us. Because there is a person who is watching and is affected. So it is a problem. It is a problem. So the next point was complex genealogy. Maybe the family did that research in the past while you were a kid and they said that they are Native Americans. So you grew up knowing you're Native American. So somebody cannot come from nowhere and tell you that, you're African. You need to embrace African culture. You need to do what your brothers and sisters from the diaspora are doing. So they might find it hard. As a result, they might recognize themselves as Native American. So this topic is really, really complex. But there's something called freedom. Freedom is choosing what is right. If you know that you are an African, but you're choosing to be some other races, that's not freedom. You're still a slave. I'm sorry to say that. The last one is tribal identity and recognition. Tribal recognition and identity are determined by the tribal government and the specific criteria. Maybe this person has met the criteria set by the Cherokee Nation. It's true. And the person might have done everything that makes him to be called a member of the Cherokee Nation. So he has it if it's according to the criteria that the nation uses. Maybe there are some steps that he needs to, to go through. It might be taking DNA tests. It might be staying in that place for quite some time. Yeah, very similar to foundationally Black Americans. So guys, tell me what you think in the comment section. I do appreciate you and I carry all my fans with respect. If there might be something I've said that I've offended a person, I really apologize. Everything that I did is for educational purposes. A disclaimer. Kindly ensure that you are kind to your brother and sister who is watching this video. So guys, salute all my fans. Salute all of you watching this video right now. If you're watching this video for the first time, kindly consider subscribing to my channel. If you're my returning viewer, much love and respect. So until then, peace, love and harmony. Salute.